Hi, I'm Jack Brewer. I'm one of the technical managers here at Cook's Pest Control. You're participating today in an annual training about calibration and equipment and product rates. You have a very tough job out there, and we're hoping that this will kind of show you how important it is about having these things right, so we're following the law, we're serving our customers properly, and we're getting the proper amounts to control pests. So let's get started at looking at this important subject today. All right, when you roll up to a site, it's very important to put on the PPE for your job. Remember your blue gloves, have your hat on, have your safety glasses. Look like a professional, but also take the precautions that you need to do your job. And one of the first things you do is you go up to the site, you have your Webster in your hand, and you go up and you could start the service. But wait a minute. One thing we all should do is make sure we got the measurements for the proper job. We're talking about calibration and rates today. And one of the big things with Cooks is make sure we have the proper measurements into Service Pro. Everybody on their phone has Service Pro app that you can look at, and there's a section where you can look up customers. And in that, you can check the measurements. In this case, there isn't any recorded in Service Pro. So part of our service is being accurate. So we need to put this Webster up. We need to go get our measuring wheel. And we need to measure the linear feet around the structure and record it under measurements in Service Pro. That way it's there for now on. So all technicians that service this account in the future know what the linear feet is. That way they can plug it into the Cook's mix calculator, the Cook's app calculator, and that helps us to guide us about how much to apply. So let's put this Webster up, get that measuring wheel out, and get this measurement for the structure. So we measured off the structure with a measuring wheel, and now we can enter Service Pro under the measurement group so it's there forever. Just select the exterior group and record the amount. I'm going to use the example of 180 linear feet today. So we would plug that into Service Pro and then it's there so that all future technicians can easily look up and see what the linear feet of the structure is. Now once you know that, Cooks has done you a big favor. Because Cooks has developed a rate calculator, you can select that. Now, I can put in 180 linear feet. And then all of a sudden, it gives me magic information. They've done a lot of math for you already. So based on the linear feet, calculating the square feet, I can know how much product to roughly apply around a structure and how much to mix. These are handy apps. You need to use them because it helps you do a better job. It helps you to record something that's legal in the state that you're applying it in. And you're providing that good customer service for the customer again. These are good tools. What is very important is the actual label, because the label is the law. It is the directions. And Cooks has also gave you very good access to all the labels to the Cooks form page. On your phone, you can go to sds.cookspest.com and you have access to all our labels. And you can look yourself and read, and then you can call your manager and ask questions. If you need help, you can call the technical department as well. But look at all these tools we've given you. We gave you easy access to all the labels, SDSs, a rate calculator, an app calculator. We got a place for you to record the linear feet for future use. These are all nice things that Cook's Pest Control has done to help you do your job better. I'm going to use this to help us mix up product and to apply product today. Part of the Cook's exterior program is to go around the home or the commercial structure and remove spider webs and wasp nests. And while we're doing that, we apply a preventive product. Right now, Cook's is using Delta Dust, and we apply it with these bulb dusters. And there's always this question about how much do you apply? Well, you just need small amounts. You don't have to just bear down on this bulb duster. Just do it a little bit. You don't need a huge cloud that's going in the air and getting on your face. You just need small amounts. And then we apply this as we go around the structure. Now to show you what it looks like on a scale about actual amounts, we're going to go inside for a moment and show that to you now.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lovelady. I'm with the technical department. Remember, when you're mixing the product, you want to wear your safety glasses, especially with Thermador. When you're mixing that product into your backpack, either the Flowzone or the Birchmire, make sure that we're using the nitrile gloves and the green nitrile gloves as well. Remember, with Thermador, it needs to be 14 ml or more or thicker. All right, so I want to demonstrate what an actual gram looks like with Delta Dust. When we're sweeping down webs at a customer's home and we're reapplying the dust throughout the service, I just want to make sure that you guys can see an actual visualization of what 1 gram actually looks like, because sometimes we may be actually using a little more or a little less than what we were recording. So I just wanted to demonstrate this for you guys. So after you've applied your Delta Dust and once you finish up the service, you want to make sure that you're recording the proper amount that you're using. So again, this can give you a visualization of, hey, this is what a gram of Delta Dust actually looks like. Another thing I'd like to demonstrate is the roach bait that we use. We need to make sure that we're using the proper measurement and we're recording it. So I'm gonna start with what an actual gram looks like of cockroach bait. We've got several different types that we use. Make sure you're rotating those. But real quick, now that we have the scale, and I'll be able to give you the visualization of what it actually looks like. So now that you see what an actual gram looks like, you can record the product that you used during the service more accurately by seeing that, hey, this is a gram. And we didn't use actually a whole gram. We may have used 0.5 or 0.75. We can now make sure that we're recording it properly and using it properly. Next product I'd like to demonstrate is Nyban for our ant bait station cups. Is at 1 teaspoon. So I'm gonna gather my product. As you see, I got Nyban, and here's my cup. As you see, that this is 1 teaspoon of Nyban in the ant bait station cups. Now I want to give you a visualization of it on the outside. So this is 1 teaspoon of Nyban. So also I'd like to demonstrate Nyban using the cup that we would fill up the scatter box or hand spreader. And this is a 1/4 pound of Nyban. The next product I'd like to demonstrate is Alticid Pro G. And this is what 1 teaspoon looks like. So I'm gonna get the product, and so this is 1 teaspoon of Alticid Pro G. That's a lot, and we wouldn't be using as that much, but I just want to get the demonstration of what 1 teaspoon of Alticid Pro G looks like. All right, our next product I'd like to demonstrate is Dominant 1% in our ant bait station cup here. It's 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna fill my teaspoon up. Now in the field, you wouldn't have the teaspoon, but I want you to get the visualization of this, what 1 teaspoon would look like. And as you see, that is now 1 teaspoon of Dominant 1% in the ant bait station cup. Now with that said, I've got a quick demonstration video for you all to watch.
It's important to know how much we're putting out with our power sprayers. And a lot of variabilities can occur when you're making a treatment. You are one variable because we all walk different, we squeeze the handle differently. That's one variable. The nozzle is another. These nozzles get worn, so the product is coming out at different rates on each of these trucks. The individual pressure on the truck can be different. So when you get into different vehicles, and even in the same vehicle, periodically you need to have an idea about what's coming out of this wand. What are you applying? And when you do this calibration, you need to use the equipment you're making the application. It does it no good if you take this wand off and do what I'm about to show you. You need to use what you're about to apply. And you need to use the nozzle pattern like what you would use while doing the job. In this case, I'm just using a typical pattern that we use around a structure or a home. This is just water. Well, ideally, when you're doing what I'm showing you right now, you would just have water in your tank. So what we're going to do is we're going to, for 1 minute, we're going to apply into this marked container how much water we can put in there with 1 minute with this particular machine. That would not mean it would apply to another Cook's truck even in the same district. So to get started, of course, you need a stopwatch, and it helps if you have a buddy to do this. So we turn on our sprayer and we go for 1 minute. A minute is a lot longer than you think. And in reality, when we're treating around a structure, we're turning this on and off, and you need to do that. But this is a good judgment about what is our flow rate out of our tank. And in this case, you can tell we're putting out 1 gallon per minute. So that's a good judgment to know when we're trying to figure out how much we're putting out per 1,000 square feet. Backpack sprayers are a big part of the Cook's program. We use them to do many things. A good example is applying Thermador around a structure. But we also need to know the outflow from a backpack sprayer. It can change again with the type of nozzle you have, how the person uses the device by squeezing the handle. There's all sorts of factors. So we're going to do a short demonstration here about determining how much the flow rate is coming out of this backpack. And this time we're going to only do it for 15 seconds, and we'll take that amount, multiply it by 4, and it'll be the same relative amount that we would do for 1 minute. So you need to pump up your sprayer, you put it into the device that we're going to measure with, and we apply it for 15 seconds. Keep it on and keep constant pressure as you're applying it. And you'll need a buddy again to help you with the stopwatch part of this. 15 seconds is longer than you think. So we did it for 15 seconds there. And now we can look to see what our amount is. And we'll multiply that to see what the flow rate is for a minute. So our measuring device shows 12 ounces over a 15-second period. So if I multiply that by 4, I will get 48 ounces. And again, the reason I'm doing that, 15 seconds, if you multiply it by 4, you get 60 seconds. 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute in time. So for 1 minute, I am putting out 48 ounces out of this particular backpack sprayer in this truck. A lot of offices now have these nice flow zone backpack sprayers. Well, you have the same concerns. You need to know how much is coming out of these flow zones. So again, we just want to use the typical nozzle pattern that you'd use while treating around a house. This is just water in this particular sprayer. We're going to again use 15 seconds as a judgment about what's coming out of this for a minute. So here we go. You get a buddy to help you, and we go for 15 seconds. Now, that should have been surprising to you. There's a lot that comes out of these flow zones in a hurry when you have them going at full steam when you press that handle down. So let's take a look at how much we've got. So you can see by looking at our measuring cup, we had 24 ounces come out of the flow zone over a 15-second period. So you take that and multiply it by 4, you'll get 96 ounces. That's 3/4 of a gallon that's come out of that flow zone every minute that you have the handle down. And that's something important to remember while you do your calculations. You may have to increase your rate you're walking, or you may need to not squeeze that handle quite as fast in doing your applications. We discussed the flow rates with different types of equipment today, and we actually demonstrated for over a minute in the power sprayer and for 15 seconds for each of these, and we calculated that for a minute by just doing simple math. My point is that you can put out a whole lot more with this product and a lot less with this at the same amount of time. So you do need to be familiar with how much is coming out with your equipment. In reality, when we treat around houses, we're not using the full pressure and the full rate at all times, because we're stopping and starting as we're going around the grill, the different pieces of the house, whatever that may be. But again, just be conscious of what you're using. So it is helpful as you use that rate calculator just to only mix what you need at the lowest amount and get used to applying the product. The rate calculator has taken a lot of the guesswork about calibrating these things. The same thing applies with your granules. Depending on how fast you walk and how many times you turn this crank and the numbers you put it on, you're putting out different amounts of product. And that'll be demonstrated for you a little while later when we're actually filling this up. But just remember, you as the technician, the way you walk at the rate and how much times you squeeze these triggers and how you twist that nozzle to adjust the amounts we're putting out. So it always comes back to every now and then calibrating yourself how much you're putting around a structure. And again, if we know the linear feet, almost on every job, if you do the linear feet and put in the rate calculator, you can calibrate yourself around structures of different sizes.
Now that Jack has went over and calibrated the Birchmeier flow zone and the power sprayer, we now know our rate of flow, or flow rate. So I've got the Birchmeier here, and that's what we're going to be using with our Thermador. We know the linear footage. Jack got that for us. It's 180 linear feet. So now I'm going to take the rate calculator that we all have on our Cook's phones, and I'm going to get the actual gallons that we should be calculating. So I'm going to type in 180 on the rate calculator. I'm going to select calculate, and that for Thermador uses is 0.54 gallons. So to make math a little easier, I'm just going to fill up and use just a gallon. And that way, when I'm treating the structure, I'm not going to use the full gallon. I'm going to use the 0.54 gallons, but just to make the calculations easier, I'm going to use that. According to the label on Thermador use, we have to have our gloves at 14 ml. So with our nitro gloves being the 5 ml, and then we have these green gloves as well, these are 11 ml. So that puts us over the 14 ml. So I'm gonna make sure that we're putting these on when we're mixing and using Thermador. And also, while you're mixing, it wouldn't hurt to wear your safety glasses as well, according to the label. So now that I've got my gloves on, I'm going to use the portable water that we have. Now, some vehicles may have an extra a water tank, the newer ones I know, but today I'm going to demonstrate using the portable water that we have. So I'm going to open up the Birchmeier. Remember when we're filling up the Birchmeier or power sprayer or the flow zone, or even the backpack mister, let's make sure that we're using the sandwich method. So I'm going to pour in here about a half a gallon of the water that we need for the full gallon that we're going to use. All right, now that we've got that half gallon, I'm gonna add my Thermador to the Birchmeier. But first, I wanna make sure that, remember, it's 0.4 ounces per gallon. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the measurement. As you see here, the Thermador bottle has a hopper right here, so that when I tilt it, the product goes into the hopper, and we can see it when we hold it up and see where it will meet that line right there. So once you get the 0.4 ounces in here, then you're ready to pour it into the Birchmeier. Just be careful when you're tilting it over and pouring it in the Birchmeier that you don't tilt it too far on a fuller bottle, because it will overspill in it or overspill on your Birchmeier as well. So now that we've got the 0.4 rate, we're gonna add it to the Birchmeier. Okay. Now, I'm going to use the sandwich method and fill it up the rest of the way. I like to rest it on the Birchmeier like this so that it doesn't strain me as much. And make sure that when you apply the product, not to move this screen. Leave the screen there when you're applying the water and the product. That screen's there so that no debris gets down into the tank, and then it siphons up through the pump. All right, now that we're at a full gallon, I'm gonna slide this and stick it back up here. We're gonna put our lid on, make sure it's secure and tight, and now I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna shake it up a little bit. We're gonna agitate that product. Now that we've agitated that product, I'm gonna pick it up and put it on the back of the vehicle like this, because you don't wanna take it and just pick it up and sling it on your back. That's where a lot of back injuries and any other injuries could happen, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna take the Birchmeier and I'm gonna take this first one that's attached, and it's, as you see, it's stationary. I'm gonna take it and put it over my left shoulder, and I'm gonna pick it up and pull it up. And I'm gonna take the right one, put it over this way. And it's got a nice little hook right here, and you just stick it under right here. And then you can adjust the straps the way that you see fit for it. And now that you've got your nozzle, your gun, you're ready to treat the home. Now we're going to be talking about nightband usage. In our rate calculator, we're using the same linear footage at 180 for this structure. And I'm going to calculate it again. Remember, it's just like what we were doing with the Thermador. Nightband for this structure is 0.72 pounds. Now, with a day like it is, it's sunny, we're not going to be using that amount around the structure of the home. But when it's raining, actively raining, we should be using the nightband to take place of the Talstar P on a PPS Max. Then you would use it at the full rate of the 0.72 pounds. I wanted to show you an example of what that actually looks like also in our hand spreader. So with our nightband, when we're taking our nightband and putting it into the hopper of our hand spreaders, we should be using the nightband granule measuring cup that they provided us. It's extremely useful, and also it's got other types of measurements on the backside, but this one, it's bold, black, and it's really easy to read. So 0.72 pounds, we're going to fill that up, we're going to need to use this measuring device to 1/2 pound, then pour it in our hopper, and then we're going to use another 1/4 pound around this structure. So we're going to take our hand spreader, make sure it's measured out at 1/2 pound. We're going to add that to our hopper, and then we're going to use a 1/4 pound and then add it to the hopper on top. Now, at this rate, again, remember, this is to take place of the Talstar P when it's actively raining. And then we would go around the home and then use the nightband in the hand spreader. It would take place of that Talstar P around that perimeter. Also, to help keep from your nightband from clumping up, you can use a shoe cover to put over as well to kind of help keep that from getting wet. Now that I have my nightband in the hopper and I'm ready to treat, I just want to make sure real quick before I start using the hand spreader that the dial is set properly. Make sure it's on 2. What that allows you to do is help you control the amount of product that you're putting out while you're treating the perimeter of the home. Now that I've demonstrated the use of nightband, I'm going to show you a demonstration of our Delta Guard. Remember to use a different scatter box hand spreader than the one you use for the nightband. Make sure both of them are labeled too for each of the products. Again, with Delta Guard, I know there's been a lot of confusion on when to use it, when not to use it. Delta Guard is to be used before it rains. Again, we're gonna go back to our rate calculator. The structure linear footage is 180. And down here at Delta Guard, it says that we should use 1.8 pounds. So now that we know our rate, we're gonna take our Delta Guard cup measuring device that they've given us. As here it shows 2 pounds, it shows 1 pound. And remember, this rate is at 1.80 pounds, so that's roughly almost 2 pounds. So I'm gonna fill it up just right below the 2 pounds line to make sure that we're under that 2 pounds. So now that I've got it, I'm gonna get the Delta Guard. You get just a little much. Remember, we want to be right under that 2 pound mark, and that's where we're at. We're right up under that 2 pound mark. And now I'm gonna take it and put it in the hopper of our hand spreader. And this is what 2 pounds, or roughly 1.8 pounds of Delta Guard G looks like inside the hand spreader. Again, just like our nightband, we want to make sure our rate back here on the back, our dial, so that we're not over applying, that we can have control of how much product we're actually putting out. I like to put it on 2. I suggest put it on 2. And again, this product is to be used right before it's raining. Make sure that you're not applying it during the rain or anything like that due to runoff. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to properly mix our Talstar P in our yard tank. I know there's different sizes of these yard tanks in each vehicle. Some of them have 50, some have 20, and some have 30. But all I need is 10 gallons today for the services that I'll be using. I'm gonna take in the linear footage of the home, which is 180. Down at the bottom, there's a M. You'll see it with a square around it. Underneath it says Mix Rate Calculator. So if you select that, it pulls this screen up. And then in this area right here, I can select 10 gallons. That's all I'm going to use today, and select calculate. Now we're using Talstar P, so the Talstar P at 10 gallons, I need 5 ounces for the 10 gallons. So now that I know my rate, I can now fill 5 gallons halfway up. We're going to use that sandwich method. We're going to use 5 gallons of water, product, then the other 5 gallons of water, and so that we can get that proper mix rate. So what I'll do first is I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna grab the Talstar P bottle. If you notice on the bottle, just like most of the products we've used today, has a hopper with the measurements already on there. So again, we need 5 ounces for the 10 gallons we're gonna be mixing today. So I'm gonna slide it over just like this. And then I'm gonna allow that product to seep over to this hopper to the 5 ounce mark. Now, if it's more, if you need more, you would do this multiple times, but today I'm only mixing for 10 gallons, so I need 5 ounces for the 10 gallons. So now, once I've got that, and I've already got my 5 gallons, I'm gonna open it up. And then be careful, because sometimes it's a little hard and awkward to pour the Talstar into the yard tanks. Just be careful when you do that. So now I'm gonna mix that product. Make sure that you close it up and secure it, place it away. And now I'm gonna add my other 5 gallons of water on top of that product. Once you've done that, make sure you take the lid, make sure you tighten it back up. And now we're gonna go to the other side of the vehicle, and I'll show you how to properly mix and agitate the product that we have that we're gonna be using today. Okay, now that we've added our product to our tank, we wanna make sure it's properly mixed and agitated. So by doing that, make sure the power is turned on to the pump. And then over here to the left side of your spray reel, there is a lever. And by either pushing it or pulling it, depending on how it's set up, you'll activate that, and it will turn the pump on, and it will agitate the water inside the tank. And then you want to do this for several minutes when you first fill it up, and keep it running until you get to your first service. Then after that, you can then cut it off and cut the power to the pumps.
Thank you for participating in today's annual training about calibration and product rates. It's very important because this is how we control pests with the products that we use. Also, it allows us to stay into the laws and regulations of each state. Cooks has done you a great service in making the calibrations a lot easier because we give you the tools directly to you on your phone. Remember, you can go on your phone and access through Safari the sds.cookspest.com and see all the labels. The labels are our guide. That is what we use to determine how we apply products. You can find those on your rate app, and please use those. Remember, we need those linear feet around the structures. That helps us to know what we apply and how much to mix. Thank you again for participating today in this training. Brandon and I really appreciate your time, and we look forward to you being successful at Cook's Pest Control.